I never imagined that a harmless bet could turn my entire world upside down. My name is Ryan, and on the surface, I was just your average guy, working a typical 9 to 5 at a marketing firm, hanging out with friends, and living a quiet life with Isabella, my girlfriend of 2 years. But beneath the ordinary, I had a secret. I had always been fascinated by fashion, makeup, and the thrill of slipping into women's clothing. It wasn't something I flaunted. It was a private, thrilling escape, something I explored late at night when no one was watching. Isabella didn't know the full extent of it. She knew I liked helping her with makeup sometimes, even trying on her outfits jokingly, but I'd never admitted that part of me loved it in ways I couldn't describe. The feeling of silk against my skin, the soft sway of a skirt, the way heels changed my posture and made me feel powerful. It was a Saturday afternoon, and the apartment felt cozy in that quiet, lazy way that weekends have. Sunlight streamed through the blinds, illuminating the living room in golden strips. Isabella was out running errands, and I was lounging on the couch, scrolling through fashion blogs on my phone. Normally, I would have stayed in my usual jeans and t-shirt, content to browse online, but today felt different. That's when Mia, my best friend since high school, called. Mia was unpredictable, daring, and impossible to resist when it came to her schemes. She had that mischievous glint in her eye that always signaled trouble, the kind of trouble that somehow found its way into my life. I am tall, fairly athletic, and have always been careful about appearances. My work demands professionalism, so I keep a clean-cut look, but behind closed doors, I explore a side of myself I rarely share. Crossdressing isn't just a hobby. It's a form of self-expression, a thrilling escape that lets me explore a persona I call Riley, soft-spoken, confident, and unapologetically feminine. Mia, in contrast, was bold and fearless. She had a magnetic personality that drew everyone in, and she loved pushing boundaries, including mine. And now, she was calling me with a plan that would change everything. "Ryan," Mia said over the phone, her tone teasing. "I have a bet for you. And no backing out this time." I frowned, already uneasy. "Mia, what kind of bet?" "You'll see," she laughed. "Come over. Bring nothing but yourself, and I promise you'll be the main attraction for tonight." I hesitated. Mia's bets were never ordinary. They always involved embarrassment, daring challenges, and more than a hint of exposure. But curiosity got the better of me.
"Fine," I said.
"I'll be there in 20. When I arrived at Mia's apartment, the smell of coffee and freshly baked pastries greeted me. She was sitting at her kitchen table, a sly smile on her lips, holding up a small package. "This," she said, "is your challenge. Open it." Inside was a carefully folded outfit, a silky blouse, a pleated skirt, and a pair of strappy heels. My heart skipped a beat. The clothing was delicate, feminine, perfect for Riley. My mind raced. "Wait, Mia, you can't be serious?" "Oh, I'm serious," she interrupted, grinning. "If you win this bet, you'll be my star tonight. But first you have to put it on." I froze, caught between thrill and terror. Part of me wanted to jump at the chance, the excitement of wearing the outfit, of stepping into Riley in front of my best friend, was intoxicating. But another part of me panicked. What about Isabella? What if she found out? What if someone else saw me? I swallowed hard. Mia's eyes gleamed with challenge, and I realized there was no going back. I had always been curious about being seen as Riley, but never in such an audacious way. With a shaky breath, I nodded. "Okay, I'll do it." Back in Mia's bedroom, I unfolded the outfit, feeling the silky fabric slide through my fingers. I started with the blouse, feeling the delicate material cling to my arms and chest. The skirt was next, swishing around my thighs, light and airy, almost ticklish against my skin. Finally, the heels. I hesitated, then slipped them on, wobbled, and quickly steadied myself. Looking in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. The reflection staring back was soft and feminine. Riley was alive, and she looked confident, beautiful, and daring. My pulse raced, and I felt an intoxicating mixture of embarrassment and exhilaration. Mia clapped her hands, clearly delighted. "Perfect. Now, remember the rules. No excuses, no running away. You're going out like this, and we're seeing how long you can keep your composure. I nodded, my stomach twisting. The thrill of stepping into Riley was immediate, but the fear of exposure followed closely behind. Every step I took in those heels, every sway of the skirt, reminded me that this was no longer private. This was public and unpredictable. As the thrill and fear intertwined, I couldn't stop thinking about Isabella. Would she understand? Would she be hurt, jealous, or angry? The thought made my heart ache. I loved her deeply, but this challenge was pushing me into uncharted territory, exploring my secret desires in a way that might never be reversible. And yet, beneath the worry, there was a spark of excitement. Could she see this side of me someday? Would she accept Riley as a part of who I am? For now, I pushed those thoughts aside. Mia was waiting, the bet was on, and I had to focus on the present. Mia opened the door and gestured dramatically. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, "meet the newest Riley." I stepped out, wobbling slightly in the heels, and immediately felt the eyes of the world on me, or at least, Mia's friends in the living room. The mix of awe, amusement, and curiosity was overwhelming. The laughter, the whispers, the subtle stares, everything heightened the thrill and terror of the moment. This was just the beginning. The night promised tests, challenges, and the risk of exposure at every turn. And as I stood there, heart racing, I realized I had just entered a world where my secret side, my thrill of transformation, and the stakes of embarrassment were about to collide in ways I could never have imagined. The moment I stepped into Mia's living room as Riley, my heart raced like it had never raced before. The heels clicked against the hardwood floor, each step a reminder that this wasn't just a game anymore. It was a challenge that blurred the lines between fantasy and reality. Mia's friends were scattered around the room, some lounging on couches, others perched on bar stools, drinks in hand. Their eyes followed me, and I could feel the tension radiating through me. Some faces expressed curiosity, some amusement, and others judgment. But the most intense gaze was Mia's, sparkling with mischief, daring me to hold my composure. "Come on, Riley," Mia said, smirking. "Show us what you've got." I swallowed, my palms damp with sweat, and moved toward the center of the room. My legs wobbled slightly in the heels, but I forced myself to straighten, lifting my chin and letting the skirt sway naturally. I tried to adopt Riley's persona, soft, confident, teasing, feminine, but it wasn't easy. Every glance from her friends, every whisper, reminded me that I was being watched, and the stakes felt dangerously high. "Wow, you actually pull it off," one of Mia's friends murmured, and my pulse spiked. Was it admiration or mockery? I couldn't tell, and the uncertainty made it both thrilling and terrifying. As I moved through the room, my mind raced with thoughts of Isabella. What would she think if she saw me like this? The thought made my stomach knot, a mix of fear and excitement. My secret life, the side of me that loved Riley, was no longer just private. It was on display. I felt vulnerable. Every sway of my hips, every flick of my hair, every nervous laugh was a reminder that my identity was on the line. But alongside the fear, there was exhilaration. The thrill of crossdressing in public, even in front of friends, was intoxicating. I could feel the duality of my identity, Ethan, anxious and cautious, and Riley, bold and daring, colliding inside me. After a few minutes of tentative movement, Mia handed me a small makeup kit. "Time to complete the look," she said, her grin impossible to resist. I hesitated, but then, taking a deep breath, I opened the kit. The brush glided over my cheeks, applying a subtle blush. Lipstick followed, a bold shade that made my lips look plump and feminine. Eyeshadow, mascara, and eyeliner enhanced my gaze, making me feel transformed. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. Riley's reflection stared back, confident, radiant, undeniably feminine. My heart raced with both pride and terror. The more I transformed, the more visible my secret became. There was no hiding Riley anymore. Mia clapped her hands, delighted. "Perfect," Now, let's see how long you can maintain this persona under pressure. And pressure came immediately. Mia's friends began asking questions, teasing me, testing my composure. So, Riley, do you go out like this often? One friend asked, eyebrow raised. I laughed nervously, trying to deflect. Sometimes just for fun, I said. My voice felt higher, softer, unfamiliar. The room seemed to shrink, every gaze burning into me. One friend nudged another. She's really committed. Look at those heels, balancing like a pro. The praise should have been reassuring, but instead, it heightened anxiety. Every compliment, every glance, made me hyper-aware that I was living a secret that could be exposed at any moment. As the evening progressed, the challenges grew. Mia insisted that I serve drinks, move around the room gracefully, and even participate in playful games, all while maintaining Riley's persona. One slip almost ruined everything. My heel caught on the edge of a rug, and I stumbled slightly. Mia's friends gasped, and I froze, praying I could recover without humiliation. I straightened, laughed nervously, and tried to act as if nothing had happened. The adrenaline surged through me, my body trembling from both fear and excitement. It was a delicate balance. Every movement, every gesture was scrutinized. And every second, I felt both more exposed and more alive than ever. As Riley, I felt emotions I had rarely experienced. Confidence, thrill, and a strange sense of liberation mingled with fear and vulnerability.
It was intoxicating.
The whispers and laughter of Mia's friends became a soundtrack to my transformation. I realized that being Riley was not just about the clothes or makeup. It was about embodying a persona that allowed me to explore desires and sides of myself I had kept hidden. Yet, the danger of exposure lingered. Every time I glanced at the door, I imagined Isabella walking in, catching me in the middle of the bet. My heart would leap, a mix of fear and longing. Could I ever reveal this side of me to her? Would she understand? Or would she be angry and hurt? At one point, Mia handed me a wig to complete the look. As I adjusted it, I caught my reflection in the mirror. The transformation was almost complete. Silk blouse, pleated skirt, heels, makeup, wig. Riley was alive, vibrant, and real. I traced my fingers along the mirror's edge, feeling the duality of my identity. Ethan, the cautious man, and Riley, the daring woman. Each glance, each movement, each choice in the outfit was a symbolic step further into a world where my secret was no longer private. Mia noticed my hesitation. "Relax, Riley," she said softly. "Tonight, you're unstoppable. But remember, the fun is in the challenge." Her words were both encouraging and menacing. I realized that the thrill of crossdressing was inseparable from the suspense, the fear of exposure, and the excitement of performing a secret side of myself. As the night continued, Mia introduced more challenges. I had to answer questions, participate in games, and even pose for photos, all while maintaining Riley's persona. Each task tested my composure, my ability to balance fear and excitement, and my skill in navigating the delicate line between revelation and concealment. The more I embraced Riley, the more exhilarated I became. But the fear of exposure never left me. Every glance at the door, every whispered comment, reminded me that my secret could be discovered at any moment. And then, just as I began to feel a strange sense of mastery over the persona, Mia's mischievous grin widened. "Time for the final challenge," she said. "And trust me, it's going to push you to your limits." Mia's final challenge involved stepping out of the apartment for a short walk to a nearby cafe, fully in character as Riley. The thought made my stomach twist. People outside might see me. Friends, strangers, even Isabella. Anyone could expose me. But there was no backing out. I nodded, took a deep breath, and followed Mia to the door. The heels clicked against the floor, the skirt swayed around my thighs, and my heart raced. Each step outside was a step into a world where my secret, my thrill, and my identity were fully exposed. Walking down the street as Riley, I felt every emotion heightened. The thrill of public exposure, the fear of discovery, and the intoxicating liberation of living as my secret persona collided. I realized that crossdressing was more than just a hobby, it was a part of me. The duality of Ethan and Riley, fear and exhilaration, secrecy and expression, defined this moment. And tonight, under the gaze of Mia, her friends, and the curious world outside, I was living the most vulnerable and exhilarating moments of my life. Every heartbeat, every sway, every glance felt monumental. And I knew, without a doubt, that the stakes were about to climb even higher. The streetlights glinted off the pavement as Mia and I stepped outside. The air was cool, carrying the distant hum of traffic and the occasional bark of a dog. Every step I took in the heels was a careful negotiation between grace and potential disaster. The skirt swished lightly around my thighs, the blouse hugged me softly, and the wig perched perfectly atop my head, completing Riley's persona. But beneath the exhilaration, a tight knot of fear clenched my stomach. What if someone I knew saw me? What if Isabella returned early and caught me like this? The thrill of the transformation now collided with the terror of exposure. Halfway to the cafe, a familiar face appeared across the street. Daniel, a colleague from work who I'd never told about my secret. My chest tightened instantly. "Ryan? Wait, is that?" he began, squinting at me. I froze, unsure if I should run, hide, or explain. The heels made rapid movement tricky, and my voice as Riley felt alien.
Hey.
Just trying something new. I stammered, trying to force a casual smile. Daniel raised an eyebrow, curiosity and confusion written across his face. "You all look different. Cute." I felt my cheeks flush as my mind raced. The risk of exposure, the thrill of being complimented, and the embarrassment of being recognized collided. I could feel Riley's persona sharpening, more confident, more daring, more playful, but Ethan's fear clung tightly. Mia grabbed my hand, tugging me forward. "Keep going, Riley. You've got this," she whispered, her grin both encouraging and teasing. The sensation of holding her hand, warm, supportive, yet challenging, intensified the duality within me. Every step, every glance, every whisper from passers-by felt like a test. I was living both identities at once. Ethan, terrified of judgment, and Riley, thriving on the thrill of visibility. When we reached the cafe, Mia instructed me to enter first. The door creaked open, and a bell chimed above our heads. I froze for a split second, realizing that the world beyond the apartment, the public world, was now fully aware of Riley. Inside, a few patrons glanced our way. I felt the eyes of strangers scanning me, evaluating, judging. I shifted nervously, heels clicking on the tiles, skirt brushing my thighs, lipstick glinting under the warm lights. One patron even whispered to their friend, "Wow, she looks incredible." I couldn't decide if it was relief or terror that washed over me. The adrenaline surged, making my pulse pound in my ears. Every movement demanded perfection, yet perfection felt unattainable. Then, disaster almost struck. A sudden sneeze forced me to hunch slightly, causing the skirt to ride up just enough to draw attention. My cheeks burned, my heart jumped, and I quickly smoothed the fabric down, praying no one noticed. As I tried to regain composure, the cafe door opened again. A group of friends from my workplace entered, laughing loudly. My stomach dropped. They were moments away from recognizing me. Mia's eyes sparkled. "Looks like it's time for a quick improvisation," she whispered. I nodded, gripping her hand tighter. My mind raced. What could we do? Hide?
Pretend?
Run? The situation demanded split-second decisions, and every choice carried risk. I tried to maintain Riley's composure, waving subtly and pretending to be a friend of Mia's. The colleagues exchanged glances, murmured amongst themselves, but none seemed to recognize me immediately. My pulse thundered. One wrong move, and everything, my secret, my pride, my identity, could crumble. Sweat trickled down my back as I navigated through the cafe, balancing heels and nerves alike. Every step felt amplified. Every glance felt like a probe into my soul. I realized the physical transformation was only part of the challenge. The emotional tension, fear of exposure, thrill of being Riley, desire to impress Mia, was overwhelming. My hands trembled slightly as I accepted a coffee order from the barista, trying not to let my persona slip. The duality was consuming. Ethan wanted to flee, hide in the shadows. Riley wanted to bask in the spotlight, to embrace every daring, exposed sensation. And somehow, I had to reconcile both in real time. Returning to our table, I caught a glimpse of myself in a mirror mounted on the wall. Riley's reflection stared back, confident, poised, and undeniably feminine. But there was also a shadow behind those eyes, Ethan's fear, hesitation, and vulnerability. I realized in that moment that the wig slipping slightly at the nape of my neck was symbolic. My dual identity was exposed, delicate, yet fully alive. One false move, one accidental reveal, and the secret I had nurtured so carefully would be laid bare. Mia noticed my gaze and whispered, "Own it. Every inch of it." I nodded, summoning courage I didn't know I had. The reflection stared back at me, and for a brief moment, Riley and Ethan felt like a single entity, daring, vulnerable, alive. After a tense cafe visit, Mia led me back outside. The city streets felt alive, brimming with unseen eyes. Every passerby was a potential threat or an admirer. My mind raced. Could I make it back to the apartment without someone recognizing me? Could I maintain Riley under this constant pressure? Then my phone buzzed. A notification from Isabella. "Hey, I might be home early, see you soon." Panic surged. My chest tightened, my knees shook. Mia grinned devilishly. "Looks like your final challenge just arrived," she whispered. The thought of Isabella discovering me like this, fully Riley, fully exposed, sent adrenaline surging. Every step back to the apartment became a tightrope walk between disaster and exhilaration. We reached the building, and I climbed the stairs, heels clicking, skirt swaying, heart pounding. Each step felt like a countdown to potential catastrophe. My pulse raced as the apartment door came into view. "Almost there," Mia said, tugging me forward. "One last test." The door creaked open, and there was Isabella, standing there with groceries, a soft smile, unaware of the chaos about to unfold. I froze. Breath caught in my throat. The adrenaline, the fear, and the thrill collided, making me feel alive in a way I had never experienced. Isabella's eyes scanned me, her brow slightly raised. "Ryan or Riley?" she asked, half joking, half serious. The world seemed to tilt. Every nerve in my body screamed. Could I reveal this side of myself? Could I let her see the part of me that loved Riley? Or would I retreat, hide, and let fear dominate? Mia's grip on my hand was firm, grounding me, daring me. Her eyes sparkled with challenge. The public, the city, my friends, Isabella, everyone was now a part of the high-stakes game. I felt a strange clarity. This was no longer just about a bet. This was about identity, courage, vulnerability, and the thrilling collision of fear and desire. As I stood frozen, Isabella's eyes widened slightly. Mia's grin was impossibly mischievous. The heels dug into my feet, the skirt swished around my thighs, the makeup and wig completed Riley's persona. And then a sudden noise, a package dropping in the hallway, a car horn outside, a laugh from neighbors, shattered the fragile balance. I realized everything hung by a thread. My secret, my dual identity, my relationship with Isabella, the thrill of Riley, the danger of exposure. One step, one word, one glance could change everything. The world seemed to hold its breath with me, and in that suspended moment, I understood. Nothing would ever be the same. I froze in the doorway, Riley fully realized, heels digging into the floor, skirt swaying slightly with each shallow breath. Isabella stood there, groceries in hand, eyes widening as they scanned me from head to toe. The silence was unbearable, stretching seconds into what felt like hours. Mia leaned casually against the wall, a mischievous smirk on her face. Her gaze flicked between me and Isabella, silently daring me to react. My heart hammered in my chest, each beat a deafening reminder that my secret life, the side of me that adored Riley, was teetering on the edge of revelation. Hi. I stammered, voice trembling, higher than my normal tone. Every word felt foreign, every gesture amplified. My hands fidgeted nervously, one adjusting the wig, the other smoothing the skirt. Isabella blinked, confusion written across her face. Ryan or Riley? She asked, her tone a mix of amusement, disbelief, and curiosity. The question sent my pulse skyrocketing. I wanted to run, to explain, to hide, but a strange, defiant part of me stayed rooted, daring to embrace Riley fully in front of her. Mia's smirk widened. Looks like the final reveal, she whispered under her breath, watching the unfolding scene like a predator savoring the tension. For a brief moment, no one moved. The groceries in Isabella's arms trembled slightly as she processed the image before her. My mind raced, calculating every possible reaction: panic, embarrassment, laughter, curiosity, or judgment. I took a slow, deliberate step forward in the heels, skirt swaying. I didn't mean for you to see me like this, I said, voice cracking slightly. It was just a bet, a dare. But Isabella's expression didn't change immediately. Her eyes scanned every inch of Riley's transformation. The blouse perfectly fitted, the skirt pleated just so, the wig flawless, the makeup enhancing features in a way that left her momentarily speechless. Inside me, Ethan screamed to retreat, to hide, to erase the moment entirely. But Riley, bold, defiant, and alive, wanted to stand tall, to claim this identity in the open, to face Isabella without fear. The duality was unbearable, every second a battle of identities. Mia leaned closer, whispering, "Your secret's out. Now you get to see if she accepts Riley, or if it's game over." My chest tightened. Fear, anticipation, excitement, and vulnerability mingled in a whirlwind of emotion. Would Isabella laugh? Would she cry? Would she understand that this side of me wasn't a whim, but a part of who I truly was? Just as Isabella's lips parted to speak, the doorbell rang. The sound sliced through the tension like a knife. Both of us turned, startled. Mia's smirk faltered slightly. "Oh, that wasn't planned," she muttered. I felt my stomach plummet. Another layer of suspense. Someone else might enter, someone who could expose me fully. Was it a neighbor? A friend? A coworker? The heels felt heavier, the skirt tighter, my body tense with panic. Isabella glanced at the door, then back at me, her brow furrowed. Who is it?" I don't know," I stammered, heart racing, my hands shaking slightly. Mia nudged me subtly. "You might want to stay calm and keep Riley in control." I looked down at myself, the wig slightly tilted, the makeup immaculate but trembling with emotion, the skirt swaying. Every inch of Riley's persona was exposed, yet I was powerless to change the unfolding scenario. This moment was symbolic, the fragile balance between who I was and who I wanted to be, the secret I had nurtured colliding with reality. One knock, one step through the door, one glance from the wrong person, and everything would shift irreversibly. I realized that Riley was no longer just a bet, a game, or a dare. She was a living, breathing part of me, exposed to the world for the first time. And now, the world, or at least Isabella and the mysterious visitor, was about to decide her fate. The doorbell rang again, louder this time, and Isabella's eyes widened with recognition. I froze, caught between flight and defiance, heels planted firmly, skirt swaying nervously. "Should I answer it?" she asked, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Mia whispered, almost gleefully, "Go on, let's see what happens next." My heart thundered. Every nerve in my body screamed. The suspense was unbearable. The next moment could reveal everything, my secret, my identity, Riley, or it could destroy it all. I took a shallow breath, trying to steady the chaos inside me, knowing that whatever happened next would change everything. And then, the screen fades to black, the bell still echoing in the hallway, leaving the outcome uncertain, unresolved, and impossible to ignore.